The gas station sat at the edge of a forgotten highway, a dusty, wind-blown stop, where people came and went without a second glance. No one really noticed the shadows, the quiet corners, or the lives that lingered just outside the circle of fluorescent light. Beneath the rusting air pump sign, a dog had made a shelter. He was thin, with ribs pressing sharply through his once thick coat. The golden fur that must have once gleamed with warmth was now matted, dulled by dirt, neglect, and time. He didn't bark, didn't beg. He simply watched the road, eyes fixed on the horizon like he was waiting for someone he loved to return. Each night, he'd disappear behind the vending machine, curling up into himself as the cold wind swept through the lot. No collar glinted in the dark. No one called his name. Still, every morning, he was there, sitting quietly, waiting. Days passed, then weeks, and yet he never left. Ravi, the gas station manager, had worked the early shift for years. A tall man in his mid-40s with gentle eyes and a deep love for old Bollywood songs. He was known for humming melodies while restocking shelves and arranging snack packs by color. Like most others, he'd seen stray dogs wander through the station before, thin, nervous, always searching for scraps before vanishing again. So when he first saw the quiet dog sitting near the air pump, he barely noticed. Just another stray, he thought. But one chilly morning, as he sipped his chai and swept the forecourt, something new caught his attention. A flash of red around the dog's neck. Ravi paused. He stepped closer. It wasn't a frayed rope or old string like other strays wore. It was a collar, real leather, aged but still holding strong. His brows furrowed. This dog wasn't wild. He was someone's. Loved once. Ravi looked at the dog again. He wasn't begging, wasn't wandering. He was waiting. And suddenly, Ravi realized this wasn't just a lost dog. This was a dog who remembered home. That afternoon, with the sun hanging low and the station quieter than usual, Ravi stepped outside, holding half a leftover sandwich and a bottle of water. He approached the dog slowly, careful not to startle him. The dog didn't react at first. His head remained low, eyes dull with fatigue. But as Ravi knelt a few feet away and placed the food on the ground, the dog's nose twitched. Slowly, hesitantly, he crept forward and took the offering, never once breaking eye contact. There was no growl, no sign of aggression, only exhaustion and quiet trust. As the dog chewed, Ravi noticed the collar again. He leaned in closer. Beneath layers of dirt and wear, faint words were etched into the leather. He wiped gently with a tissue. The message appeared worn but legible. Asterisk, my name is Max. If I'm lost, I'm trying to get home. Please help me. Asterisk, a phone number followed, but most of it had faded. Only the area code remained. Still, Ravi's chest tightened. Max wasn't just surviving. He was waiting, trying, hoping. That night, Ravi lay awake, staring at the ceiling fan spinning slowly above. He couldn't shake the image of Max, silent, still, staring down the road every time headlights appeared. There was something haunting in the dog's eyes. Not fear, not confusion, but longing, like he recognized the shape of every passing car, hoping one of them would stop. The words on the collar echoed in Ravi's mind. Asterisk, I'm trying to get home. Asterisk, that wasn't just a plea. It was a promise. By sunrise, with sleep still clinging to his eyes, Ravi snapped a clear photo of Max in his worn collar. He posted it across Facebook, community pages, buy-sell groups, lost pet forums. His caption was simple. Asterisk, this dog's been waiting at my gas station for days. He has a collar with a message that says he's trying to get home. Anyone recognize him? Asterisk, at first, nothing. Then a like. A comment. More shares. Hours later, a woman reposted it to a lost pets group in a nearby city. Her caption read, could this be Max from Fairfield? Suddenly, the trickle became a stream. Comments poured in. Questions. Tears. And then a familiar name appeared. Everything began moving fast. By evening, Ravi's phone buzzed with a call from an unfamiliar number. He answered, and a shaky voice on the other end whispered, That's Max, that's our boy. Her name was Aisha, and her words were thick with emotion. Ravi felt the weight of her heartbreak through the line. "He's been missing for 2 months," she said, her voice cracking. She told him how Max had been part of their family for years. During a long road trip, they had stopped at a rest area to refuel. Just as they were about to leave, a loud backfire from a nearby vehicle startled Max. Before they could react, he slipped out of his collar and bolted into the open fields. They searched for hours, then days, calling his name, posting flyers, notifying shelters, but he was gone. Eventually, reality forced him to drive home, devastated and hollow. "We never stopped hoping," Aisha said, her voice trembling. "But to know he stayed, that he waited in the same place all this time, I don't have words." Ravi stood silent, heart heavy and eyes damp, realizing he hadn't just found a lost dog. He'd found a miracle in fur. Aisha lived more than 150 kilometers away, and her husband was still recovering from surgery. The trip would be long and difficult, but her voice didn't waver. "He waited for us," she said firmly. "Now it's our turn. I'll come get him." Ravi reassured her he'd take care of Max until she could make the journey. But as he hung up, his concern deepened. Max was clearly exhausted. His body was thinner than it should have been, his ribs too visible, and when he stood, his legs trembled slightly. It was clear the long wait had taken a toll. Ravi couldn't let him spend another night out in the cold. He cleaned up a small space in the back office, laid out an old blanket, and brought in a shallow bowl of warm broth. Max stepped inside hesitantly, sniffing the air, and then slowly sank onto the soft blanket. He sighed, a long, deep breath, and curled up for the first peaceful sleep he'd had in weeks. As he drifted off, his tail moved just once, a small, grateful wag. For the first time in a long while, Max wasn't alone, and he seemed to know it. The post began to spread like wildfire, gaining traction across local groups and neighborhoods. Within a day, Max's story had gone viral in the region. Strangers showed up at the gas station, not to fuel their cars, but to meet the loyal dog who had waited so patiently. One woman arrived with a container of warm, boiled chicken, her eyes already misty before she even saw him. Another dropped off a shiny new leash and a blue name tag engraved with Max, insisting he deserved something special. A local vet technician offered to check him free of charge, and someone even quietly slipped an envelope into Ravi's hand to help cover any future expenses. Even a gruff old trucker who came every Thursday, a man known for never smiling, knelt beside Max, gently scratched behind his ears and whispered, "You're a good boy, waiting like that," before walking away wiping his eyes. Max, once unnoticed and nearly forgotten, had become something much greater. He was a living symbol of loyalty, of patience, of the unbreakable bond between the dog and his family. Ravi had never imagined that his quiet gas station would become a gathering place for hope, for healing, and for love. But thanks to Max, it had. 3 days later, just as the morning sun warmed the pavement, a dusty silver sedan pulled into the gas station. Ravi was behind the counter, sorting inventory, when a voice outside rang out, sharp, desperate, full of hope. "Max!" Max's ears twitched. His head lifted. In a split second he froze, then shot forward like lightning. Outside, Aisha had dropped to her knees near the pump. Max crashed into her arms with such force that she stumbled back, laughing and sobbing all at once. "I knew you'd wait. I knew," she whispered, clutching his face and pressing her forehead to his. Max licked her cheeks like he'd been holding it in for months. Ravi turned away, swallowing the lump in his throat. He gave them their moment. But before they left, Max turned once more. His eyes found Ravi's, and in that single look was something deeper than words. Gratitude, recognition, goodbye. That evening, Max rode home wrapped in a soft blanket, curled beside Aisha. Something shifted in Ravi. He'd seen many dogs, many stories, but none like Max. In a world that rushed past everything, Max had waited, quietly, faithfully, out of love. And now, whenever someone leaves something behind, a glove, a scarf, a leash, Ravi pauses. Because now he knows. Sometimes what's left behind is trying to find its way home. And sometimes all it takes is one person who chooses to care.